This is huge for the Detroit Red Wings as we get a major update from the Olympics, including all three players from the Red Wings who are representing their country. We're going to break that down, as well as multiple updates heading back from the Olympic break and what this Red Wings team needs to do to find success and clinch a playoff berth. We're going to break that all down in this episode of Red Wings Digest. But before we get into all of that, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've officially passed 1,000 subscribers over the weekend on Red Wings Digest. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. It's unbelievable. Our next goal is now 1,500 subscribers. So if you're watching these videos and 95% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel, go down below, hit that free subscribe button. You get to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Red Wings, and it is about to get crazy. But Mark, there's a lot to get to from the Olympics. We're going to start there. We finally have some line combinations, and I want to start with Team USA and Dylan Larkin. We finally got some confirmation, and he is not the captain. There was some speculation that maybe he could be named captain, but it is, once again, Austin Matthews. And Dylan Larkin is the third line center. Now, yesterday he was skating on the line with Jack Hughes and Tage Thompson, which I think is actually very interesting because Jack Hughes is a bit injured and there's some interesting stuff with that. This morning, though, and this is brand new, he was skating on a line with Tage Thompson and Kyle Connor. That is going to be an incredible line. Lots of goal scoring on that line. I want to get into some of the other players as well and some of the other line combinations, but let's start here. Some of the players he's going to be playing with. He's playing in a third line center role. I like it for him, and I feel like, yes, he might be playing a little bit less, but it's going to be perfect. I'm excited to see what Dylan Larkin does at the Olympics.
And I think that's the big thing. Listen, with Dylan Larkin going over, Team USA is the stack team when we're looking at the forward position. But I think with Larkin playing on this line, it's probably going to be the most exciting line. We know what Dylan Larkin brings. You can see the numbers. Everything is in the green. Green is money. This guy is incredible. And the big thing is playing with a lot of these guys. Jack Hughes, who is dealing with the injury with a fast player that's going to sit Dylan Larkin up. We can see the points and goals per 60. This is a guy that's going to bring it with Larkin. And another thing is you're bringing in a goal scorer with Tage Thompson, Darius. This is a line that I'm going to be super enticed to see. We're going to see Dylan Larkin. We know how fast he is with two guys that also bring the speed. I think this is going to be great where we're not going to see him go out and play the hugest role. He's going to get less minutes, of course, than a lot of guys, but I think that's perfect. You don't want to burn out a lot of these guys. Not saying Dylan Larkin doesn't deserve the minutes, but listen, if he's playing 3 less minutes a game, that's just going to help with him recovering a bit more, coming back from the break when the Red Wings are looking at a big picture of winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, and in a reduced role, maybe there's a possibility he doesn't get injured or worn down coming back too. Now, obviously, everyone wants to see him win, right, at the Olympics, but I think playing in a reduced role, and not even a reduced role. I mean, there are so many good players on this team and on every team. That's just the way it is at these best on best tournaments that I think just playing with those two guys and even Kyle Connor on his wing, man, he can set up those goal scorers. He's going to put up, I think, a ton of points, especially with some of the line matching that's going to go on against some of the other teams. So I'm very excited to see what they do with that. So let us know in the comments how you feel about that. Obviously, they're going into game 1. There could be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot more games than there was last year in the Four Nations face-off. And again, a great season so far for the captain of your Red Wings. Let us know how you feel about that in the comments. Stay tuned till the end of this video too, by the way, because we're going to get into some stuff about how the Red Wings can find success later on this season, because they're still in a crazy playoff race right now. But I do want to get to Team Germany and Moritz Seider. He has he is going to be the #1 defenseman for this team. There are a ton of non-NHLers on this team. I'm actually surprised how many NHLers are on this team. We know that, certain organizations do like to pick homegrown, maybe not homegrown talent, but, talent that are playing in the country right now. And we do have the line combinations. I think he's going to have a monster tournament too. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Germany, period, Mark. I don't know how you feel about that. They're going to be definitely a dark horse to maybe not win the whole thing, but I think they're going to make some noise in this tournament. And I think one big reason is how dynamic Mo has been all season on the back end for the Red Wings, but he's just going to bring it to a different level, I think, with Team Germany and everything that's going to go into these games. So how do you feel about, Seider going into the Olympics? Again, he's had a great season. We were talking about him with the Norris Trophy as well, just a couple, videos ago. It might not happen because of the offensive output, but man, this guy's been the best, probably the best two-way defenseman in the league this year.
And I think this is the opposite of what we're seeing with Larkin. Mo is going to come in and not only play on that top pairing where we see him with Germany, but he's also going to eat minutes on 5-on-5, 5-on-4, on the penalty kill. This guy is going to play in every situation possible. He's going in as probably the best player on this team, and that's no hate to anyone else on the roster. But Mo has taken that step. We can see with the numbers, Darius, even going through the defensive game is top notch. This is the best two-way defenseman in the entire NHL. The offensive numbers do look good. Of course, the Red Wings sometimes struggle to put up a lot of points, but Mo has been doing everything on the ice, the defensive end, the hits, the blocks, the points. This is a guy that's going to eat so many minutes during the tournament, and I think it's really going to show the rest of the world how good this guy is. Listen, Red Wings fans know, fans from Germany know, but the big thing is now we're going to see this at the international stage, and people are really going to start looking, and I think that helps his case to win a Norris this season.
Yeah, and I think that, obviously the playoffs don't count to some of that voting, right? But this could, right? This could turn a lot of heads. People could pay more attention. Maybe he has a monster end to the season, right? But like you said, he's going to be playing a ton of minutes. So I'm keeping an eye on Team Germany too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch because he is definitely going to be relied upon back there. That is for sure. But we make our way over to Team Sweden now and Lucas Raymond. I want to get into some other players that he's playing as well, or with as well. He is going to be tasked with second line minutes in the tournament. At least that's what it looks like right now. He's been another dynamic player for the Red Wings as well this season. And he's playing with Elias Lindholm and Jesper Bratt, which is a great, that is going to be a fun line to watch. Let me tell you, Sweden should be a very interesting team to watch because the rink is smaller. We all know, everything that went into that, but they're going to be a fast team. So Mark, any thoughts on Lucas Raymond coming into the tournament? We know he's had a fantastic year. You can look at the stats, right? We know he's had a brilliant year so far, the special teams too. And that's something I want to talk about later in the video too, and how the Red Wings have struggled 5-on-5, but obviously special teams, he's been good. So I'm excited to see what he does in this tournament, and he's playing with some really dynamic players as well, like Jesper Bratt. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch them just speed around out there if they have the room to do it against certain teams.
And I think that's the big thing is too, coming in on that second line, yes, this is a really deep team. This is one of my dark horses to come out with a win in this tournament. But looking at the team itself, he's playing over a lot of great competition. Rickard Rakell, of course, dealt with some injuries with the Penguins, but was a 30 goal scorer. Zibanejad, Pettersson, he's playing above a lot of big talent. Yeah. And we know this is much to serve. Looking at Raymond, what he's done with the Red Wings this season, this is going to be one of those teams that's going to be super dynamic, fun. They're going to be fast. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see Lucas Raymond. This might be a hot take. You can call me out in the comments if you want. I could see Lucas Raymond sneakily leading this team in points throughout this tournament. Lindholm is a two-way center. We know what Bratt brings, but that's going to give him the full offensive drive on the second line. There's not matched up against the top competition on a first line, but still, I think this guy is going to turn a lot of heads once again.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at a lot of other teams, there's a lot of deep teams in this tournament. USA, right? You got Canada, right? These teams are very deep, but I think that, once you get past Nylander, when you start doing the line matching, that first line with Forsberg on it, it might free up Lucas Raymond in favorable matchups, right? Depending on the game and if they have home ice advantage, however that works out as well. So I feel like there could be, I say home ice advantage if they're the home team. Obviously, every team's playing in the same building, same, sheet of ice. But, Lucas Raymond, I think, can be super dynamic in this tournament. So it's going to be fun to watch. He's playing with some good players too. Lindholm has dealt with injuries this year, so that'll be something to watch. A lot of teams are coming in really banged up, according to Elliot Friedman too. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and if certain players end up sitting. So we'll see. But the one question we wanted to ask you guys down there in the comments, and I think it's an interesting one because 3 really good players on 3 really good teams, because again, I think Germany is a dark horse here. A lot of people might count them out immediately. And let us know in the comments below, does a Red Wing come home with gold this year? I think that is very interesting, once in a lifetime for a lot of these guys, and we don't know what happens in the future, of course, and the NHL hasn't gone in 12 years at this point. So comment Y for yes and for no. Does a Red Wing come home with gold? I'm going to go, and I know it's a hot take, no here for this one. I don't think it's going to happen just looking at the whole outlook of the tournament. But Mark, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, listen, there's 3 teams. If you look behind me, there's one team in particular I'm not going to say yes on. So, yeah, let's go with Sweden. Sweden's going to come home, and we're going to see Lucas Raymond lift hardwood with this team twice this season because the Stanley Cup's coming up as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And one last thing I want to get to before we wrap up here is the Red Wings. they got to keep going. Their foot on the gas when they come back from the Olympics, right? A lot of guys, besides the 3, of course, on the team, are at home resting right now. So they can lick their wounds a little bit. You're now in 3rd heading into the break. That is one thing that changed. The Montreal Canadiens leapfrogged you a little bit. I don't know if home ice really matters for the Red Wings in the first round. It might actually be better to start on the road because you haven't been in the playoffs as an organization for so long. Some people might find that as a hot take. I think it might be easier to ease into the series and then come home and see how it happens, especially if you're down 2-0 or however that looks. But again, we'll see what happens. But you're in the race. You have to continue to win games, and the standings are so tight. You're getting guys back from injury. I think you got to continue to put the foot on the gas. And one thing that is holding them back is their 5-on-5 scoring. They are awful 5-on-5, and that is something that, the power plays go away in the playoffs, Mark, right? Like, there's not as many. So do you have any other thoughts on that before we wrap up? Because that's one thing coming back from the break. They have to focus on goal scoring 5-on-5. That is something that needs to have a huge uptick, or else they could be in tough. I still think they make the playoffs, that is for sure. But once you get into the playoffs, even if you have home ice, if you can't score 5-on-5, you're going to be in tough because you're going to have to rely on your power play, and they're not going to come as frequently.
I think that's why they really need to prioritize grabbing another forward. This could be a goal scorer, a centerman that's a bit of a playmaker to bring into this team. But Darius, I kind of want to dive back for a second on the home ice versus away ice when we're going into the playoffs. I mean, there's one guy in particular that's the hottest goaltender on the road right now in John Gibson. So if you're starting a series away for 2 games, we're going to see him win 2 games. You're going back with a 2-0 lead because of John Gibson's numbers. But I do think at the end of the day, it's going to get really tight. Tampa is probably going to take the top of the division, but the big thing is Detroit's not that far behind. They can easily snag the spot, but they need to stay consistent. We're seeing teams lose 1 game and you drop in the standings. Thankfully, Detroit is going out to at least get 1 point or 2 in most games, but it's going to come down to the wire. But I'm not really worried if we don't get the home ice because of guys like John Gibson.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge factor going into it as well. And I do think, again, sometimes when you have a team that's inexperienced in the playoffs and you haven't been as an organization to the playoffs in a while, it might actually be better to start on the road. That being said, don't put yourself in that position. Try to get home ice advantage. Finish as high as you can, especially if you can finish first. You're going to play a worse team. You're going to end up playing, Buffalo or Boston, or a team that's kind of struggling right now. Like anyone outside the playoffs right now has kind of been struggling all year. 1 loss, 1 win, so on and so forth. So it'll be very interesting to see. We want to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. The Red Wings have a lot to do coming back from the Olympics, but 3 guys have to take care of business first. So let us know how you feel about that. And remember, comment down below if you think the one Red Wing is going to come home with gold this year. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Red Wings.